Hello, it is August 23rd. It is 4:17 p.m. So right now I had to make a video about how we should live in the present tense, okay? If we look at more than 10 years ago, more than a decade ago, we can find faults and problems and things that everyone could have done in their life that would have been considered stupid. If they were watched 24/7, we can find one thing at least that someone could have done more than 10 years ago that could have been considered stupid in terms of alcohol or something like that, doing really something really stupid. Yes, we could find that out. No doubt about it. More than 10 years ago, the person's been watched throughout their entire life. They did one thing stupid their entire life. It's possible, okay? They could have done it. But right now, we need to look and live in the present tense. If we look at more than a decade ago, we can find stupid things that anyone could have done in their life. So right now, today, what is going on right now? Not 10 years ago, not more than 10 years ago. What is going on right now today? If you look at the video I just uploaded a little while ago, the 5-minute clip, short clip, it will prove to you that Junaid right now is getting rejected by a woman, Miss Deb, who is his mother's age, and she is brutally rejecting him every single day, and he's begging her, despite her being his mother's age, he's begging her all day, night long for her to sleep with him. If you don't find that hilarious, I don't know what is. Then you have other people like Kashif Firozvi, who's already married, by the way. He already has one mistress, that is Miss Hopkins, and Miss Hopkins slept with him, and she asked him, as soon as she was kicked out of the witness stand on trial. You have to remember the fact that teachers running after students is extremely frowned upon in this country, not something that is liked. If a teacher runs after a student, it's something that is very much frowned upon in this country, not something that is liked at all. So as soon as she was kicked out of the witness stand, she begs Kashif Firozvi and says, do something, go. To make sure his brain savant doesn't get freed so no other woman can get what I couldn't get. Kashif Firozvi and Miss Hopkins, by the way, national security is a big deal, okay? Nothing that you're going to do is going to be hidden from the government or the court. So Kashif Firozvi needs to understand the fact that he did do this, and everyone knows about it by now. The rumors already spread everywhere. So Kashif Firozvi and Miss Hopkins were fabricating a framing against me where they were planning on claiming to the courts that I committed a crime sometime in my life, and that the crime was basically covered over, but the only problem was Kashif Firozvi could not claim this, because then where's your source of info? Who told you this? You know, and you can't just be like, I just saw it in a dream last night. No, so they needed a source of info. What they were planning on doing was getting Kelly from law enforcement to go sleep with Junaid and having her whisper into his ears what he was supposed to claim about me committing a crime that my sister told him about, which never happened, by the way. And Miss Hopkins and Kashif Firozvi were fully planning on doing this with the entire fabrication plan already made. The only thing that was left was Kelly going over and sleeping with Junaid and whispering into his ears to do this. Now, we already know that Kelly did not do this, since if Junaid is begging Miss Deb, who's his mother's age, to sleep with him every single day, then obviously he hasn't slept with any girl out there. Yes. So basically, yeah. Now, the fact of the matter is, Kashif Firozvi, just from last night, which was August 22nd at 10 p.m., asked law enforcement to put ads for Kalshi Trade Sports ad to try to say that I want to trade my mistress for another girl. Can Hassan use the court chatter on his brain savant being discussed with the honorable judges of this trial to get that rumor spread and then use that to try to scam other people's daughters into sleeping with me, as in Kashif Firozvi. Now, that's what Kashif Firozvi said at 10 p.m. through law enforcement. The evidence will be there with law enforcement, okay? Then, just last night, as soon as August 23rd started, an hour 42 minutes past midnight today, he put in an ad. I lost it. It was on my notepad. This was the time, 1:42 a.m., August 23rd, and it was like an ad for Kalshi, and it said, what it said was, fall into extra money this fall with Kalshi Kick. fall into extra money this fall with Kelsey Kick. What he was basically saying was, I'm going to be paying money, and you're going to be going over scamming other people's daughters who are hearing about your brain savant being discussed as being literally the most rare and profitable brain savant in the world right now, and you're going to go scam these girls, sleep with them, and then pass them over to me, and then I'm going to pay for these, like as if these are not people's daughters but prostitutes that he's going to be paying money for, and I'm supposed to be the one scamming other people's vulnerable daughters living alone just because they hear court chatter about my brain savant being literally the most rare and profitable in the world, which was a conformity that the courts agreed on using artificial intelligence experts on August the 20th at 2:25 p.m. How I knew about that is due to the fact that at this very moment, Kelly from law enforcement started touching my tongue and making my rectum feel wet and letting me know that obviously this is the conclusion that the courts have obviously come to right now. Now, that is the kind of hilarious things that Kashif Ferozvi is doing right now, using this trial to basically get his own sex agenda, sex addiction worked out. Now, Kashif Ferozvi might claim, oh, I was just joking. National security is no joking matter. You cannot be making framings and false testimonies against someone with your mistress, Miss Hopkins, only because I did not go with her, okay? Yes, so yeah, yeah, so Miss Hopkins, we all know how aggressively she was running after me, okay? And I only said no to her because she had me brutally tortured on December 11th. I was only trying to be nice to her, okay? That was it. I never asked her for a number, never asked her for contact info, never tried to go run after her, never did any of these things. I was not interested in her. I would get married after my brain savant would get freed. There's no rush over here, okay? And I made that clear to Miss Hopkins. I had no intention in doing anything before my brain savant would get freed, and she was a very aggressive individual who was having me tortured on December 11th so that she could find out who it was that was telling me about her. She wanted me to basically say it was Kelly, and it was Kelly. She did it by making my right nostril itch. It was Kelly, but the fact of the matter is, you cannot have me tortured so brutally that I would end up jumping off the cliff just because November 14th brain savant test result came out December 10th, and you want to find out on December 11th who is informing on you to me from law enforcement. You want their name so you could go beat them up and hurt them so that they wouldn't ever dare do this. That's no reason to be using torture tools against someone in law enforcement. I understood that Miss Hopkins was trying to go hurt Kelly, beat her up, or do something, some other kind of harm to her, due to which I understood that she was not only an older woman, but she was very aggressive and violent, due to which I had to push her aside on December 11th. I did not use any bad words or anything of that sort of nature. I just told her it was an inappropriate relationship between a student and a teacher, and I wanted to be left alone after December 11th. It was enough for me to play nice for so long, okay? I don't care. I know for a fact she claimed in court that I care about her religion or her age. I do not care about any of these things. It's your character and conduct that you present in the society that matters, okay? I might have loved ones of my own. I might have family of my own that's Jewish, okay? You do not know that, all right? You cannot claim that about someone else, okay? So basically, yeah. Now, the thing about it is just the fact that, it's just the fact that Miss Hopkins was getting revenge on me for not going after her and not letting her go after me any longer by getting Kashif Ferozvi to make false testimonies against me. The facts and evidences will clearly also show that Kashif Ferozvi was texted by Miss Hopkins as soon as she found out that Ibrahim the Greedy Framer had kidney failure, due to which Kashif Ferozvi suddenly started and saying, don't worry, I'm going to take care of it, like trying to be a hero. And Kashif Ferozvi and Miss Hopkins were fully planning on making fully fabricated false testimonies against me, only to try to frame me into into getting in trouble so that my brain savant could not ever get freed. The only problem with that was the government takes national security very seriously, which means that that wedding crime that law enforcement and their BFFs like Shahina Shamim and all these people in the family like Asad Sohaib and Bushra Akhtar feel like they're going to get away with, the government's not going to let a single person get away with this. Just letting you know right now, which means means that every single person that was a part of the wedding crime is under investigation right now. And if Miss Hopkins is going to sleep with that person and ask them to help her fabricate a false testimony against me, guess what? She's on the record saying that and playing this out. So yes, there you go, Miss Hopkins. That's how you got caught. Now, the fact of the matter is, so the fact of the matter is, instead of going more than 10 years back to try to find instances of me acting stupid or dumb or anything of that sort of nature, more than 10 years ago, by the way, everyone does one thing dumb or stupid their entire life. If you watch the movie Superbad, you would understand the fact that people do dumb things once in their entire life. To try to take that one instance of their entire life to doing one thing stupid or dumb and trying to make them look like a bad person, idiot, or perverted, or a drug addict, or anything like that, or that certain nature, or an alcoholic, or any of these kinds of things, is absolutely absurd. Okay, so yeah, we all do dumb and stupid things once in our lifetime, maybe more than 10 years ago. But what I can guarantee you is that I don't have a mistress like Gasha Firozvi begging people like Ihsan to help me out at August 22nd at 10 p.m. and trading around those mistresses by scamming these girls in who are hearing court chatter about my brain savant being extremely rare and profitable, the most rare and profitable brain savant in the world right now, agreed upon by artificial intelligence experts on August 20th at 2:25 p.m. As being literally the most rare and the most profitable brain savant in the world, to be scamming other people's vulnerable daughters into sleeping with me first and then passing around Gasha Firozvi like how he asked me on August 22nd at 10 p.m. Okay, that is insanely hilarious due to the fact that Gasha Firozvi is a married man. He already has one mistress and he's still not happy with her. He wants to trade her out, and the person that is supposed to be doing this for him is the person, me, whom Gasha Firozvi is claiming in court is such a terrible person that my brain savant should get completely locked up only because his mistress, Miss Hopkins, begged him to say this against me. Eerily similar talking points that Gasha Firozvi has, saying that I was going to commit a crime, which is why I took out time from high school, and all these things that Miss Hopkins basically tried to claim about me. And then when she wasn't able to, she went and she slept with people in law enforcement and she asked them to help her fabricate this false testimony against me. What Miss Hopkins doesn't understand is the fact that the wedding crime that people like Assad and Sohaib and Bushra Akhtar think like they got away with, they have not gotten away with it. Which means that that wedding crime is something that the government is going to dangle over their heads until the day that they go into their graves. They're not going to let that go, which means that it is still under investigation, and that person that Miss Hopkins was sleeping around with and fabricating with is probably under investigation as well for that wedding crime and all these crimes that are occurring, due to which Miss Hopkins has now been caught with that plan that she was fabricating against me, along with Gasha Firozvi. Okay, so yes, fact of the matter is, the things that Gasha Firozvi is doing right now as we speak are hilarious. He's claiming in court that I'm a very bad person whose brain savant should get locked up, while he's planning these plans and fabrications against me with his mistress, Miss Hopkins, and at the same time, he's asking me, the bad person supposedly, to be helping him trade out his mistresses so he could have more of his sex addiction work being worked on right now, okay? Except for Gasha Firozvi, instead of looking more than 10 years ago for one thing that I could have done bad my entire life, we have other people like Assad. Now, Assad has been literally, this guy is really something. He is doing the same thing. So look at the time over here, 1:02 p.m., August the 19th, 1:02 p.m. It says, let's write together. In that same set of ads for Let's Write Together, you have Coca-Cola, which represents Assad. Okay, it represents Assad in that same set of ads. Basically, Assad, as soon as he sees on August 19th that he's been caught with the wedding crime, he cannot go to court anymore. He's begging me through law enforcement to go scam other people's daughters and pass them over to Assad. Have I ever done this once? Despite being given a huge list of girls after July 1st, 2023, I understood what my priorities in life were, which was basically using my brain savant, getting my things done, and then getting married, and not playing with other people's vulnerable daughters, hearing about my core chatter on my brain savant. Okay, these kinds of things is not something that that I would ever do. It's not something I'm like. If you ask someone like Anderson, who I went to high school with, she would tell you that I'm not like that at all, and I don't do these things. The people that Miss Hopkins will tell you that. How about that? Miss Hopkins will tell you that I'm not this kind of person. I don't do these things. Okay. Yeah. Everyone's just different in this world. Yeah. So. Yeah. Oh, and then just yesterday, guess who else is back? This is basically yesterday, the entire night yesterday. They have been going with Remitly, as in law enforcement wants illegal assurances of money from me before my brain savant would get freed. So that has also been going on. And then, except for that, my dad, the greedy framer, obviously there are no expensive properties in Ireland, but they have this thing, it's called Revolut. Revolut is basically in Ireland, it's a way of sending money. Yes. So he's asking for money as well. Okay. And then you have law enforcement yesterday, August 22nd at, what's the time over there? 10:27 p.m. August 22nd at 10:27 p.m. Same thing, asking for money. Then my dad, the greedy framer, August 22nd at 10:37 p.m. asking for money. Then you have August 23rd today, my dad, the greedy framer, today asking for money. Revolut is a money transfer ad in Ireland. Okay, the August 23rd, that is today. This is law enforcement asking for money today. They're asking for money. See, it says Remitly. Right over there, it says Remitly, right over there. So they're asking for money. It's their main money asking way. Then today, my dad, the greedy framer, today he's asking for money. It says Revolut right over there. It's a way of sending money in Ireland. So yes, what's hilarious is not something that one mistake I could have made in my life more than 10 years ago to be labeled as such. What's hilarious is the fact that a person like Assad is literally sending me the requests for me to be helping to scam other people's daughters. It says let's ride together, and in that same set of ad it has Coca-Cola in it. Okay, he's asking me to scam other people's daughters after he already has children from a prostitute in Thailand. Now, the world has to understand that we go to a lot of places in this world. China, we might go to the US, a billion places in the US. What are the chances that a loser like Assad ends up getting children in Thailand, which is literally the prostitution capital of the world? And those children that he has from a woman in Thailand is not from a prostitute. Highly unlikely. Okay, he traveled probably every country in the world, ends up getting children from a woman in Thailand, which is literally the prostitution capital of the world. Yes, okay, yeah, so a person like Assad, who already has children from a prostitute in Thailand, is basically asking me to go scam other people's daughters into sleeping with me first and then passing them around to people, perverts like Assad, while at the same time he's claiming that my brain savant should get locked up. It doesn't make any sense. So my point being, instead of looking at more than 10 years into the back of finding instances of me doing one thing dumb or stupid my entire life, like with alcohol or anything like that, how about we live in the present tense and we look at what's going on right now? And right now we have people like Assad with children from a prostitute in a place like Thailand. What are the chances he has to put children from in a place so random like Thailand? Person travels everywhere in the world, China, this, that, Russia, Europe, and he ends up getting children from a woman in Thailand, and they're not prostitutes that he had children with, despite Thailand being literally the prostitution capital of the world. And this pervert has been texting me, putting ads on my TV screen all day long, asking me to help him scam other people's daughters. What are the chances of that? Highly unlikely, I would have to say so. Yeah, okay, yeah, highly unlikely. Yeah, he wants me to use what artificial intelligence experts came to conclusion on August 20th, 2:25 p.m. with the honorable judges of this trial to basically they used that fact that they came to a conclusion that I literally have the most rare and profitable brain savant in the world to be scamming other people's daughters who find out that the courts came to this conclusion and then passing them around to people like us. And highly unlikely. I wouldn't do that. Okay, highly, yeah, I wouldn't never do something like that. But yes, the fact of the matter is, right now in the present tense, Gasha Ferozvi, despite already having a mistress like Miss Hopkins and getting caught with his plan to fabricate and frame me, is begging me, the person who he's claiming is a very bad person, whose brain savant should get locked up. He's begging me to basically go help him trade out his mistresses, and he's even offering last night, so it was last night at 1:42 a.m., August 23rd, 1:42 a.m. It says fall into extra money this fall with Cash Kick, and it came in at, I just wrote it down on Google because it deleted from my notepad ad. It came at 1:42 a.m. last night, an hour 42 minutes past midnight, August 23rd. So yes, he is basically treating other people's daughters like prostitutes and saying, I'm going to pay money, and what I want you to do is basically go and scam these girls who are hearing court chatter about your brain savant being the most rare and profitable in the world, and then passing them around to me. You have to understand that this is not a movie. This is real life. In real life, certain things are very serious, like other people's daughters, their lives, and their reputation is very serious matter. The other thing is very serious is national security. Committing a national security crime is a crime. Using national security for your own personal agenda of locking up my brain savant only because your mistress, Miss Hopkins, was not able to force me to marry her is another crime on itself. You're using national security for your own personal agenda. The other thing that you have to really understand is the fact that you have people like Adamji who cannot be coded on anything. So if Adamji is being coded, then the people coding him have to understand and realize the fact that Adamji has already been caught lying and fabricating false testimonies against me. So what ended up happening was on July 10th, I found out that Ibrahim the Greedy Framer had gotten rejected by my elementary school teacher at 7 p.m., okay? Then at 8:45 p.m., that drug addict, is trying to advertise himself in front of my car cameras to go advertise himself for my elementary school teacher again. Despite him going into the hospital once a week, overdosing on drugs once a week. Now, the thing that you have to understand is the fact that on July 11th, before I could make my statement against Ibrahim the Greedy Framer, they had Adamji make his statement against me from 10,000 miles away, thinking that it wouldn't get caught. The same surveillance technology that was reviewed right now for the entire time I was overseas, catching even the slightest bit of whispers that I would make while I was overseas, since my brain savant was locked, so it meant that even the whispers were there. It does things like it could read your brain scan, and it'll catch your voice when it's coming out of the voice box before you can even whisper it out. So it knows. So basically, yes. So even my whispers were there from overseas. So basically what ended up happening was Adamji was not aware of this technology and the fact that the records that had just been retrieved right now was from this technology from when I was living overseas. So Adamji was not aware of this. Before I could even make my statement against Ibrahim the Greedy Framer being a drug addict and sexually perverted individual from what had happened on July 10th, when I was about to make my statement on July 11th, Adamji goes ahead and makes his statement before even I do, claiming that I was a drug addict or a sexually perverted individual. Clearly under evidence, clearly showing that he fabricated and lied about every single thing that he said. It was a complete and total lie and nothing else. Clearly proving from facts and evidences the entire month of July, Adamji had been doing nothing but lying. So he cannot be coded, mainly due to the fact that even my whispers are on record from overseas. That's one thing. And the other thing is, he's already been caught fabricating on July 11th for what they're coding him for has already been caught as being a fabricated material. Now, the other thing that they might try to use against me or try to say against me or about me is they might try to say that, when I was growing up, so basically after high school I was really picked on a lot. They would come over and they would just like break my pencil, and then they would just be like, we're gonna hurt you after class and stuff like that, due to which I would just cry and go over to the nurse's office, and Nia and I got sick and tired of it. I just stopped going to school. And if law enforcement was watching me since I was an 11-year-old child, they should have this on record, okay? So basically, yes, that is exactly what happened to me, okay? Yes, so that is exactly what happened to me. Miss Hopkins' stories are just BS about me committing crimes, concerning the fact that she just got caught right now making plans of fabrication against me for that, exactly. But yeah, so what ended up happening was my entire life I was a nerd and a geek, and since I was an 11-year-old child, all 9-year-old child, basically what I would do is I would stare in the History Channel logo from morning till night, and at nighttime my mother would come over, turn off the TV, and I would go to sleep, and the next morning I would wake up and I would do the exact same thing. It was proven on January 20th, 2026 with what I call the time machine. It was proven from the time machine that this is literally what used to happen, since that is how my brain savant started off when I was a 9-year-old child, me staring into the History Channel logo and literally doing this from morning till night. Till at nighttime my mother would turn off the TV, ask me to go to sleep, and the next day I would do the exact same thing. So what ended up happening was my entire life I was like this, and my brain savant kind of grew and grew over time. But after high school and having people pick on me, like they would come over to me, they would break my pencil, they would just throw it on there, and they would just be like, after class we're gonna hurt you and harm you, and I would just start crying, and I would go over to the nurse's office, and I was like this nerd. I didn't want to go fight with anyone or do anything like that. So what ended up happening was after high school I was like 18 years old, and I realized that every boy has to become a man at some point, and I wanted to be a really manly man. Now, I never had a dad in my entire life. Now, before I tell my story, they're going to be like, oh, he's telling his sympathy-gaining stories, blah, blah, blah. They said this about my poverty stories, about me being poor and not even being able to afford food. Okay, they made up stories about how he's just trying to gain sympathy, this and that. When the evidence came out about how poor I was overseas and the fact that I didn't have food, was that a sympathy-gaining story, or was that the truth? I know for a fact they have every second of overseas. They showed it to me on my YouTube that we have every second of overseas, and we even have your slightest whispers from when you were overseas. So when the facts and evidences came out on how poor I was overseas, that I didn't have food to eat, and that I would go on scraps of food for days and months, and because my mother was working at a Food Line grocery store and she couldn't pay for my food, was that a sympathy-gaining story that I made, or was that the truth? I think that was the truth, and the facts and evidences clearly speak for themselves, and not these people's opinions, quote unquote, that are not based on any facts or evidences. So my sympathy-getting stories were in fact true. Okay, I was poor my entire life. Okay, college, I went through in absolute poverty, okay? And the facts and evidences also show that all day long on the weekdays, all I did was, throughout the entire second I was awake, all I did was stare into my iPad and literally study the entire time, and the iPad should also be on record for everything I was doing on it. All I did was literally study every single second that I had on the weekdays. And on the weekends, the only thing I would take great gaps in time for, breaks for, was I like watching The Men Who Built America, mainly Andrew Carnegie's episode, and I would just watch that once over the weekend. Now, you might think like one episode, yes. Autistic people have this thing where they like obsessive repeating thoughts, like Chinese censure of humiliation. If they let go of my brain savant, I could watch that all day. Things of that sort of nature. So I would watch that Andrew Carnegie episode on The Men Who Built America literally once a week, on the weekend once at least. So that's literally the only break I would take for myself throughout the entire week, and every single second I had, this is all I did. So after high school, I getting picked on my entire life, being a nerd, and people was coming over and throwing my pencil like that and telling me that they're gonna harm me after class, and me crying over to the school nurse and everything. I wanted to develop myself to being a man, and what ended up happening happening was, I'm not trying to be funny over here. I never had a dad my entire life, and the guy was a complete total sociopath. Like you see right now, blackmailing me with money right now. There are no expensive properties in Ireland, so he's sending me Revolut, like, that money I asked you for, are you going to send it or not, using a brain scanner to find out if I'm sending it to this psychopath or not, after he already put out his sexual perversions for his in-laws by asking them if they're willing to sleep with me, when he himself is asking for himself, obviously, and he's only asking me for money. So for once my brain savant would get free. So after high school, I kind of wanted to be like I wanted to be a man. Like, I wanted to grow up, basically. So I didn't really know that much about being a man. And I never had a dad my entire life. So what I ended up doing was, I understood who manly men were in history. It was basically the most manliest man in history was definitely Clytus the Black. Clytus the Black was a general that Alexander had in his army. Clytus the Black was incredibly manly. He saved Alexander at the Battle of Gaugamela. Clytus the Black is known to be the person who literally dies because of the fact that he was so manly. He was the only person who could speak out against Alexander in front of him. So yes, the stories about Clytus the Black are true. Clytus the Black literally saved Alexander's life every single time at the Battle of Gaugamela and at other instances as well. So yes, Clytus was not the person that Alexander sent to go murder Parmenion, execute him. But anyways, the other things about Clytus are absolutely true. Clytus the Black was the most manliest man in human history, a general of Alexander. I obviously knew this from studying history my entire life. So as soon as I finished high school, I wanted to be a man. I never had a father figure my entire life. So I studied the most manliest man I knew, which was Clytus the Black, from the movie Alexander. And I would literally obsess over this to try to be manly. I would literally, like, how the way autistic people go about things is very different from normal people. So normal person would just be like, all right, fine, I'm just going to be manly. Autistic person would literally become obsessed with it, and they would literally watch that scene on the movie clip, literally watch it in detail, that one clip of that one man being extremely manly every single day before going to the gym to look just like him, and then try to act like him as well, so that I could become manly like him. So yes, that is literally what happened. So what ended up happening was, after high school, being picked on in high school, I wanted to be a really manly man. Now, autistic people go about their businesses very differently from normal human beings. An autistic person is not going to just be like, that man is manly, I'm going to be manly like him. No, autistic person would literally research this, go about this, find that clip in the movie where the person is acting really manly, become obsessive over it, and then watch that one clip of the man acting really manly, mainly Clytus the Black in the movie Alexander, which they got the perfect guy to choose for it. Gary Stretch has been a boxer, and they couldn't get someone better than that. I mean, yes. And watch that one scene from the movie Alexander, or the few scenes where Clytus the Black is acting very manly in that movie, to pretty much become just like him. I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. This is real, okay? That's how autistic people become obsessive over things, and they would literally watch this every single day before going to the gym to actually become more and more manly and age out of being a nerd and a geek their entire life. There's no father figure, there's no one to see on how to be manly or not. I would watch Clytus the Black every single day in the movie Alexander, every single day right before going to the gym, so I could develop myself into being this manly man. And that's how autistic people go about their business. We're not going to just be like, that guy's manly, I'm just going to be like him. No, that's not how we do our things. I would watch it every single day right before I would go to the gym so I could become manly like him. And even when I went overseas, I would call my mother and I would tell her, I would be like, I would be like, I know for a fact that car mechanics are supposed to be really manly, and I watch in movies that a guy's working on his car on his free time, and I would tell my mother, while I would be on the phone overseas, I would tell my mother, I don't know if you can find this or not, it's like years ago, I would tell her, I would be like, I'm only already trying to be really manly, I'm going to learn how to work on cars, and that way I could be even more manly like all the other manly men are. So yes, if I'm doing something due to my disease condition or how obsessive I get over certain things or saying something, taking that and trying to use that where I'm trying to develop myself into being something in society that I'm supposed to be like, not like a nerd or a geek that I've been my entire life, and trying to use that for more than 10 years ago, more than a decade ago, to try to make fun of me and make me look bad is absolutely insane and hilarious, considering the fact that right now, just yesterday, August 22nd at 10 p.m., Gasha Ferozvi is asking me to use court chatter from August 20th, 2:25 p.m. of honorable judges of this trial, coming over to the conclusion that my brain savant is literally the most rare and profitable in the world, to go scam other people's vulnerable daughters into sleeping with me first and then passing him around to him. I never asked his mistress, Miss Hopkins, for her number, never tried to contact her, never tried to run after her. I only told her to chill till my brain savant would get freed, but she had me tortured to on December 11th, after the December 10th brain savant test results came out, only to try to get me to say some other girl's name so she could go beat her up, due to which I realized that she was a very aggressive and violent individual, due to which I had to tell her to back away from me. Yes, so yesterday, hour 42 minutes after midnight, August 23rd, it said on my thing, it says, fall into extra money this fall with Cash Kick, right over there. Yes. Basically saying that I should go scam other people's vulnerable daughters into sleeping with me first and then passing them around to people like Kashif. Yes. So right now, basically what has ended up happening is, so basically what's hilarious is he already has a mistress. He's a married man with kids. He already has a mistress, and he wants me to help him trade out his mistresses by scamming other people's daughters using artificial intelligence experts' testimony on my brain savant on August 20th, 2:25 p.m. about my brain savant being literally the most rare and profitable in the world, which hilariously and ironically, by the way, neither one of our sides agree to be agreeing on artificial intelligence experts speaking on my brain savant. And Gasha Ferozvi still wants to use that to scam other people's vulnerable daughters into sleeping with me first and then passing them around to him, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and he's offering money for that. Well, anyways, right now, since I also had to mention the fact that right now, since both sides have agreed to the fact that we don't agree with artificial intelligence. It's 100% flawed. It's 100% inaccurate, due to which the courts, since the entire world is watching this trial, and all law enforcement has done since 2001 is run sex scenes with Uncle Joey's in-laws, due to which they have to provide Uncle Joey with sex scheme ads and money fraud that's been run for years and years, with committing and covering over crimes like the wedding incident that we know for a fact Asad Sohaib were fully involved in. I have nothing to do with. Then there has to be another motive for why they are so obsessive over me. And since I've said it's my brain savant, now that both sides have completely agreed upon one thing, which is artificial intelligence is 100% flawed, it's 100% inaccurate, the courts are going to have to, hopefully, not forcing them to do so, but hopefully have to make this trial look more impartial by administering a 30-minute brain savant test into finding out, getting to the bottom of this. Does a brain savant exist? Does it not? How rare and profitable is it? How good is it? Does it really have instantaneous photographic memory, innovation focusing? Is it really that powerful, as powerful as Kim Peek Rain Man, or even more than him? What is the deal with this? Can I use it to get more than 1,000 pages of something extremely dry like Arnball's medicinal chemistry done in 1 day's time, 1 day for the entire textbook, and less than a day actually? And if that is so, then can I get this entire thing more than 30,000 pages done in 30 days time period, with innovation being a superhuman power? Getting one patent every 30 days was something that a human being relies on once in a lifetime for them to be running on. This question can be answered in 30 minutes, and the court courts are hopefully going to be have to get to the bottom of this question in 30 minutes, and both parties have agreed that neither one of us think that artificial intelligence is any good. We're both agreeing on the fact that artificial intelligence is definitely 100% flawed, and it is 100% inaccurate. Now, the other side has already said this, so they can't take their word back. They said it first, then I said it. So yes, and since our brain savant is definitely a main motive behind why they have committed all their crimes and covered over everything, we have to get to the bottom of if it exists or how powerful it is and all these things. So yes, the 30-minute test, in order to make this trial look impartial, will have to be administered in order to make sure that this trial does not deprive itself of a major piece of evidence, being my brain savant. And this 30-minute test, obviously, finding out if it exists or not, to make sure that, or how powerful it is, to make sure that the courts, this trial, does not deprive itself of a major piece of evidence, which is my brain savant main motive behind why they committed all the crimes that they committed, despite never caring about a single thing since 2001 except for sex schemes and money fraud. So yes, that is what I had to say, and also the fact that Adamji is not a reliable source, since all the lies that they're quoting him for, they've already been marked as being complete and total lies. And trying to find something from more than 10 years ago where I could have done one thing stupid in my entire life is not a way to go about this, and then try to connect it with a lie that Adamji could have said, when in fact the entire time I'm overseas is on camera, on record, and it clearly proves from facts and evidences the fact that nothing that Adamji said was 1% correct, but that every single thing was a complete total lie. As we witnessed on July 11th, Adamji fully fabricating to try to make me look like I was sexually perverted or drug addicted, only to get revenge from me about to make that statement about Ibrahim the Greedy Framer, from what Ibrahim was caught doing on July 10th at 7 p.m. running after my elementary school teacher, or him going to the emergency room once a week overdosing on crystal methamphetamine. By the way, I've never once bought street drugs my entire life. There's no record of me ever overdosing on any medication, not once ending up in an emergency room overdosing on anything ever in my entire life. And except for that, I haven't even had a Robitussin syrup, which is Schedule 5, by the way. Schedule 1 are street drugs. Schedule 5 is the last one, which is stuff like Robitussin syrup, which is over the counter. I haven't even had a Robitussin syrup in the last 10 years of my life, making it, the drug addiction is not something that is there. In fact, there's no addiction out there. I have no obsession with anything that is illegitimate or immoral in a any way, shape, or form possible. In fact, these mistresses that Gasha Ferozi has, like Miss Hopkins or Kelly from Law Enforcement, are people that I never once ran after. Kelly from Law Enforcement 2 days ago was having my neighbor try to creak her door open so that she could try to seduce me over to her, and try to seduce me outside of my balcony every single day by wearing short clothes, or then after that having her dog bark in my window to try to get me to have sex with her in order to make up with Kelly from Law Enforcement. I told them both to get the heck off my face. I'm not addicted or obsessive over anything. I have all the love I want in my world. I do not need anything else. I just want to be left alone by all these gold diggers. All right, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.